This episode of the Adventure Jogger podcast is brought to you by Ruthie Laffey, Brian Marr, John Merck, and 10 Junk Miles. Get some while supplies last, and everybody over at Patreon. And you, thanks for listening. The Adventure Jogger, a podcast about trail and ultra running. Meet fascinating runners from the front, middle, and back of the pack, sharing inspiring and funny stories about life and running. Running should be fun, and so should running podcasts. I'm your host, Stephen Kornhaus, and this is the Adventure Jogger. All right, well, today on the Adventure Jogger, I have got another international guest, this time coming from, is it Belgium or Brussels?
Belgium.
Belgium, coming from Belgium. And I'm sure if you are an ultra runner or a fan of ultra running, you have undoubtedly heard of our guest. He said it had a world record performance at the Bigs World Team Backyard Championships just a couple weeks ago. So I'm very excited and honored to have Ivo Steyaert on the podcast. So welcome to the Adventure Jogger, Ivo.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's something else. I mean, everybody here in the States, I'm sure all around the world was, well, not everybody, but all the ultra runners and trail runners were following Bigs and, the updates and the posts from Laz and seeing just the absolutely incredible, incredible performance that you and the other two gentlemen did
Yep.
there was just inspiring. So, huge congratulations to you guys first.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, first, Evo, before we dive into Bigs and kind of how you got into the whole backyard scene, I kind of want to learn a little bit about you and how you got into the running world.
Well, I'm 54 years old now, and I started about 25 years ago with a simple 2 or 3 K. There's 1 or 2 miles around the block, and that progressed from the 2-3 miles a day to half marathon, a marathon, and then in 2016, I did my real first ultra. That was about, I think, about 130, 140 miles.
Oh, wow.
And from that moment on, I was, yeah,
You're hooked.
yeah, yeah, I was
What?
hooked. Yeah.
So your first ultra marathon, you go out and do 130, 140 miles.
I will check because miles is not my strong point.
Well,
It
was
was
this a timed event, I'm assuming, or what?
250K, 155 miles. Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yep.
insane for your first ultra. Well, was this a like a timed format or was this like a backyard format?
No, no, no. It was a normal trail race. So
Okay.
in the Belgian Ardennes, so with lots of elevation and lots of rocky, rooty, muddy things. So it was it was a proper trail race.
Wow.
Yeah. So maybe I started a little bit above my league, but in the end, I finished the thing. So yeah, and from then on, I started doing the 100 miles and the 50 miles and so on. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
So you started high and then came
yeah. I
back down a little
started
bit.
high and then I descended.
Right. My goodness, I can't
Yep.
imagine. That's well, my first ultra was 100 miles as well, but not 155 with that kind of
Yeah.
elevation, I imagine is
Yeah.
probably
Well, I didn't go into the race thinking I would do the 155 miles. I think from that I thought, okay, if I can do 50 miles or 60 miles or 70 miles, okay, I will be happy. But yeah, the race went on, and once you're in the game, it's yeah. I just wanted to finish, and yeah,
yeah.
I finished it. So. Yeah, that was the start of
Wow.
everything.
Well, so if you're 54 years old and you started 25 years ago, that's like
It was about 30
29.
years old, yeah.
Okay, about 30 years old. So
Yeah.
what at 30 made you decide to start running?
What made me decide running? I was a smoker, not a heavy chain smoker, but I smoked 2 or 3 cigarettes a day. My second son was born, um, and I wanted to quit smoking, and just to pass the time in the evening, I put on my running shoes and I went for a little jog. So yeah, it's the fault of the cigarettes and the birth of my second son.
Okay. Well, we've got the cigarettes and the birth of your son to thank for, an inspiring performance at Biggs then.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so how many children do you have? You said,
Three.
second son was born? 3.
Yeah, no, I have three
Okay.
children. Yeah, yeah. So they're
Nice.
now 27, 25, and 23 years old. There are three
Okay.
boys. Three men now. Yeah, yeah.
Now do either of them, run?
Matthias, so the middle son runs, did some ultras already. Did a
Oh,
50
wow.
miler. We did about an 80 miles together one time. But yeah, he's not as competitive as I am. He just likes to go out for a run, and if that run is 50K or 30 miles, something, yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, he's a natural talent to for going into the big numbers.
Okay. Wow. Well, then, 2016 was your first. You said you kinda stepped down and did some smaller distances, still 100
Yeah.
miles and, 50 milers and such. So how long did you continue on that path, like, before you found or heard about the backyard format?
I did that. 2020 was the first backyard I did. It was the COVID backyard,
Okay.
and that year there wasn't any classification, or there weren't any silver tickets. You were invited to go run for the national team. So I got invited to run for the national team, and I felt very good. I thought I could go into the high numbers, but at lap 35 or 36, I don't remember exactly. I had a little tear. I had a tear in my calf.
Oh, no.
So I had with tears in my eyes. I had to stop. Uh,
My.
um, so after that, I decided. So I didn't qualify for bigs, of course. It was the year that Karel Sabbe set the world record at 78 something yards.
Yeah.
So I went that same year. I went to Germany because in Germany there was a silver ticket to go to the States to Bigs in America in 2021. And I won that race. So I had a kind of revenge then. But as it turned out, in 2021, we all in Europe were waiting with our suitcases, uh, um, but we didn't get a permit or permission to fly to the States,
Oh, no.
because everybody that came into the United States had to come through Mexico or through Canada, and they had to stay there for 14 days or 1 week. I don't
Yeah.
remember exactly, before they could enter the States, and that was not feasible.
Oh,
Uh,
man.
so so my revenge was futile. Yeah.
Right. I remember that being a big issue for the Barkley marathons as well. There were several
Yeah, yeah, there
international
was
runners
only
that
American
couldn't.
people almost. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's also at
Right.
the 2021. There were, I think, two or three Europeans who came in through Mexico or through Canada. But the majority was Canadian, and was, of course, American runners. So there
Yeah.
were not a lot of foreign runners that year.
Okay. Well,
It
but
was a
now.
strange time.
Yeah, definitely a very strange time.
Uh,
Um, before, the rest of Biggs in that time between 2016 and 2020 when you're starting your backyard kind of, we'll say, career,
mhm.
what other, did you do any other high profile races, maybe
No,
UTMB
no,
or anything?
no, no. I'm a guy that likes to stay close to home.
Okay.
So I did almost all my races in Belgium. There are several 100-mile races in Belgium. There is one 155, 160, 170-mile race in Belgium.
Oh,
So
wow.
I did all of those. So I did about three or four, or maybe even five ultras a year. But I didn't do UTMB or other high profile races.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, then, did you, get that silver ticket in, I think it was 2022 you mentioned? Is that the year you went to go try to get the silver ticket to Biggs?
2022 was again the team championships, and
Right.
that was the year that Marijn and me succeeded in for the first time in surpassing the 100 yards. So we did the 101 yards, and we finished together.
Yeah.
So there was no winner that year.
Right.
There's no winner this year.
Yeah.
Uh, but we passed the mythical boundary of 100 yards. So that was a rather big event also. It was not so much in the media as as it was the 2024 edition, but well, it got picked up by several specialized
Right.
magazines and all of that. So yeah, that was also for me. It was also a very big and special moment because it was a kind of milestone, and we were the first to pass that milestone. So
Right.
yeah, we were
Yeah.
very psyched.
Now what played into the decision to not go out for that final loop, one of you, you or Geertz, to make that decision to stop together in 2022?
Goh, yeah, yeah, it's hard to describe because when we were at yard 99 or 98 or even at yard 100 when we were busy breaking the 100, we both had the intention to battle it out. But then when you break the 100, yeah, there are friends, there family, there are fireworks. They made special T-shirts with our faces
Oh,
on and with
wow.
breaking 100. There was cake, there was celebration, and then during lap, then during the when we finished the 100, yeah, we talked to each other, and our crew talked to each other, and we kind of decided then, well, okay, we can battle it out, and we can have one winner, and maybe it takes another one lap or two laps, or 5 laps, or maybe another 7 laps. We don't know. But all the people here they didn't come to see a winner or to see a battle until the end. They came here to witness the breaking 100.
Yeah.
That was the goal, and we made our goal. And then at lap 101 we ran the entire lap together, and we talked it over, and then we during that lap 101 we finally decided that it would be our final lap. Yeah.
Wow.
So and then we did leave for lap 102. So yeah, yeah. So we will never
So
know who was the strongest at that moment, like we will never know who was the strongest in 2024.
Right.
But
Right.
okay, yeah, fair. Doesn't
Pretty
matter.
awesome though to finish with your, fellow countrymen there from Belgium. And just now, are you and Geertz, I assume, since you've done these events several times, are you all friends and maybe trained together some, or did you just
We
meet?
don't really train together. We felt Belgium is not a big country. He lives about 1 hour and a half away,
Okay.
and for Belgian standards, that's
That's
far
far.
away. It's
Right.
far away. But we meet each other. We do the same races. we go to the same events, we have the same friends, we have the same, so we kind of bond together. But it's not like we see each other each week or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we know each other
Okay.
very well. Huh.
Oh, well, good. Okay. Well, then, you mentioned, your crews kind of talked. I was curious, do any of your 3 sons crew? Like, do they come over and help crew these events?
No, Matthias helped me out once, and I helped him out once because he did a backyard also.
Oh, nice.
But I prefer my wife that she crews me.
Okay.
She does that very well, and yeah, and she knows what to do and what not to do, and she's very professional about it.
Right.
So yeah, and she also can the event. She stays from lap 1 until lap 100 or 80, 110.
Wow.
So yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Now, do you just have the 1 crew, just your wife, or do you have other
yeah.
people as well?
No,
Just 1.
just yeah.
Now, is that a rule of the, World Team Championship? Are you
No,
allowed just
it's
1?
not a rule.
Okay.
But for in Belgium, we have a rule that you can only have one crew at the time. You can have 10 people, but they can't. All the 10 people can be together at the because the building we are in, it's not very big, and when one runner has 10 people running around him,
Yeah.
so the rule is one crew member per runner in the building, and that's it.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that could be some chaos if you had 10 people around
Yeah,
just
yeah, because
scurrying
in
around.
2022, we didn't have that rule in the beginning, and sometimes runners had to ask the crew members to get out of the way so they could get into their chair. So
Oh
that
my
was not
goodness.
that was not that was not okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely not.
Also, you had
Goodness.
lots of noise and lots of and to be honest, when you have one crew member, that's more than enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need 2 or 3 people. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It only
So,
creates chaos and stress. So yeah,
right. Now from 2022 to 2024, since you, I guess we could say, tied for first, or or, since you said there's no winners, you guys a
yeah,
DNF, I guess,
yep,
but,
yeah,
but,
both the and that. Yeah,
right. Did you have, like, a golden ticket to get back into 2024? Did
yeah,
you have to
yeah. Because
requalify?
there wasn't a national winner, so we weren't selected on that basis. But
Okay.
at 2023, I think there were about 30. About 45, about I don't know exactly, about 40 runners from the winners from the national from the 2022 national championship, from the team event. And there were about, I think about 40 runners with the highest numbers of yards.
Okay.
And because we had 101, we had well, the world record then was beaten a few months later in Australia with 102.
Right.
But because we had 101 laps, we were about, well, we were placed very high on the list, of course. So
Okay.
our ticket for Bigs was never a problem.
Okay. So you didn't have to do, like, a qualifying race in
No,
2023 at
no, no, no.
all. You just okay, good.
Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
do any other backyards in 23?
Did I do any? I don't remember, but I don't think so. No,
Okay.
no, I
So
don't
then
think.
coming to this race, the World Team Championships in 2024, you
Yeah.
started,
Oh, I did
you
in
had
2023. I did bigs, of course, in
oh, okay.
the sea.
Yeah, the individual.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. How did that one go for you? Because I know,
Oh,
23 is
I had hip impingement or groin pain or whatever, or hip
uh,
flexor pain or whatever that you have, and I was suffering from lap 1 until lap, I don't know, until I wasn't I was about 70% the runner that I usually am. So and at lap 80, I totally lost my ability to think, and I didn't know who I was, where I was, or what I was doing. So I sat down in the forest at in the backyard of Mr. Lass, and I was happy, not knowing who or what I was doing. And then somebody came they came searching for me, and then I saw my wife, and then everything came back. But then, of course, I was timed out
Yeah.
uh, a
Well,
long
that's
time.
impressive. It's impressive you went 80 plus laps with all, since lap 1 having issues with your hip or
But
hip
it
flexors.
was the only thing I really remember about it. It was super frustrating because normally, okay, I'm not the fastest runner, but I'm not a slow runner also, and somehow because of the pain, I only could do my laps at 55, 54, 56, 57 minutes, and that really frustrated me so much. Uh, yeah. So because I felt I didn't have enough time to sleep, yeah, then strange things start to happen with the mind,
Right.
yeah, and the result was that I was yeah, talking to a tree, uh, saying it was a very nice tree, a very
Yeah, had a
cool
good conversation.
had a good conversation. Yeah, so I had
Right.
something out of it, but yeah, yeah, it was didn't go the way I planned. But on the other hand, uh, besides being frustrated, I was only also thankful that I felt that I could could be in the event, and I could even make it to 80 because when I got on the plane and when I got there, I wasn't even sure I could do 1 or 2 or 3 yards. So I was besides being frustrated, I was also there was also a kind of thankfulness and gratitude that I felt that I could do the things that I could do. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Certainly. Wow. Well, then for 2024 for the world team,
Yep.
what kind of, I mean, obviously we know the distance of the loop is 4.167 miles.
Mhm.
What kind of elevation gain per loop did the Belgian loop have?
Almost nothing, I think.
Really?
Yeah,
It's pretty much flat,
almost
just
nothing.
about.
Almost
Wow.
flat. Yeah, it wasn't flat, but it was, I don't know, a few meters. I could
Okay.
check my Strava,
No,
but
it's all good.
I
Now,
think, yeah, I don't know.
was it
Uh,
trail or was it like a paved surface?
the day loop was of almost 100% trail.
Okay.
And so I have we had an elevation of 900 meters. That's about 900 times 3, so about 2,700 feet, I think, of elevation.
Over the
So
entire 458 miles.
over the entire 450 miles, so
Wow.
that's almost flat. That's
Yeah,
almost
that's very flat.
flat.
Wow, okay. Well, then, going into it, obviously, you have lots of experience in the backyards. I'm sure you had, like, a game plan or a strategy right from the get-go on kind of a loop time that you wanted to come in every time. Like, what was your planned time for each loop?
Maybe I'm going to disappoint you now, Steven, but I don't do game plans. Uh,
Okay.
I don't. I had. I thought if I could. In 2022, I always came at 46, 47, 48 minutes. But the the loop in 2022 was easier than the loop in 2024. The trail loop was some mud, some roots, some it wasn't a very fast track. Uh,
Mhm.
um, and soon I started coming in at 50, 51. But that's okay. Also, I mean, at the start, I kept to my initial goal of 46, 47, 48. But then I sat down and I sat there and I thought, okay, yeah, what am I doing here? So if you have 12 minutes or 10 minutes to eat and to drink something, yeah, that's if you're used to the fast changes, that's way too much.
Yeah.
So uh, very early into the race, I started coming in, I think at 50, 52, 53, and then that slided to 54. But then it stayed about 54, I think, during most of the race. Yeah,
Okay.
there were some
Now,
exceptions. We did when we broke the 1,000 yards. We all came in together, so that was on a lap of 57 minutes. But besides those celebration laps, yeah, I think it was, yeah, without timing, without even yeah, thinking too much about it. It was yeah, 52 minutes. I think that
okay.
was the average time.
Now in Belgium, do they switch to a like a paved loop at
But
night,
it
just
was
like
the first time that they switched into a more easier loop, because the trail loop at night was kind of tricky, because of the mud and so on. So they for the first time we had a night loop. The night loop was a simple going up the street for a few hundred meters. So for maybe, let's say, a quarter of a mile up the street, then returning and going the other way for let's say for 1 mile and a half or something, and then returning the same way. So it was a very simple in and out. Uh,
okay.
um, but because of the simpleness of the in and out, I had a lot of trouble later in the race, and also I felt a lot of runners asked me, um, "What are we doing here?" Uh, uh, and I think because when we normally go for a run, well, we go on a loop. That loop can be 5 miles or 10 miles or 70 miles for all I
Right.
care. But you go on a loop and then you return. But the going up the street and then returning and then going the other way and then returning again, that's not a normal training run.
Right.
That's not normal. So yeah, and I think yeah, I had also had a lot of yeah, I always had why am I missing something? I think I'm doing something wrong. Do I have to take something? How are they timing this? So yeah, and that maybe for the next time we have to uh, maybe we have to keep the night loop, but maybe not just an out and back, but
Right.
maybe a more kind of loop thing instead of
Right.
instead of something that makes no sense in the head
Right. It wouldn't
after
be so
70
monotonous.
or 80 laps. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Right. Well, if you were coming in 52 to 54-ish minutes, probably 52 on average, it sounds like
Oh yeah, thanks.
for
Yeah,
most of the race.
didn't check
What
the numbers.
yeah, so what was like your crew stop? Like take me through a crew stop from start to finish. Like what was your routine that you did every lap?
Okay, so the routine was my wife waited outside for me and she took me inside because she knows I'm a talkative guy. And when I arrive at the finish and I see somebody that I know, I say, "Hey, how are you? How are the kids?" and so on.
She's like, "No,
uh,
come on."
yeah, yeah, and that's why she's waiting outside. She takes me inside, so I don't have the time to chit chat.
Right.
Because yeah, when I talk 1 minute or 30 seconds every time to someone, and when you do that times 100, it's 100 minutes that are gone, that are not useful
Right.
for the race. So that's the first thing. So waiting outside and taking me inside. then the first thing I do is sit down, and then, well, it depends. When normally I communicate the lap before what I would like at the finish of the lap.
Okay.
So I would say, okay, the next lap I will have an alcohol-free beer, or the next lap I will have a cola, or I will have maybe some eggs, or whatever. So most of the time, the things that I asked for the lap before are there. And then I drink something, I eat something, I talk a little bit with the missus, and that's about it, I think. At certain points, every time when I change my shoes, she makes a note what time I change my shoes, and then then she asks me every 6 hours after I change my shoes if I want to change shoes again. uh, um, and also she takes notes of everything that I eat or everything that I drink. And when forbid when I drink a lot of let's say things without much electrolytes,
Mhm.
and she asks me if it's also noted if every few hours I have to take in some electrolytes, and then she asks me, do you want this or that, or some protein or some or whatever. So everything there isn't really a plan, but everything is written down. And when it's um, um, and when I don't know exactly how to explain it, but let's say I had electrolytes at 10 o'clock in the morning. So she knows she has to ask me again if I want electrolytes at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So
Okay.
it's kind of when I say yes, it's okay. When I say no, she asks me the hour again until I take. That's what's necessary. And then she takes notes. I took it, and then she waits another 3 or 4 hours to ask me again, and so on. So, and
Okay.
that's the food intake. That's with the drink I drink. That's with the shoes that I change. That's with the socks. That's with the clothing. That's with about everything is noted down. And then there's a certain regularity into most of the things that
Right.
have to be turned. Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like your wife is very organized and keeps this all
Well,
tracked
that's why I
very
don't have
well.
to be organized. You
Right.
see? Eh?
Yeah,
And
she'll does it all for
it
you.
only needs one to be organized. So
And that's
I should
great.
be organized one. So yeah, only the only thing I have to do is lift my feet up and run. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah,
That's it
yeah.
for
That's it. Yeah,
458 miles.
yeah. That's it. Yeah, it's easy.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what you mentioned, NA beer or non-alcoholic beer. So do you drink non-alcoholic beer during the races?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, yeah.
Interesting.
It tastes good. It tastes something different than
Yeah.
everything else that you drink.
Good
And
carbohydrates?
also, I prefer it half Coke and half non-alcoholic beer.
Like
So
mixed together?
mixed together. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It doesn't
interesting.
look good, but it's fantastic.
I bet that would be really good because I mean, everybody loves a Coca-Cola at a ultra marathon. So
Yeah,
you mix
and
that with a
everybody
little
loves a
bit
beer.
yeah,
So
that's right.
you just mix the two together. So
I'm gonna
yeah.
have to try that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do so. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
that's the
That's a
secret to
secret
Evo.
formula.
Yeah,
Everybody runs
exactly.
450 miles when they drink that.
Now we're gonna have records of 600 miles coming soon with the
Yeah,
sport, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, 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 yeah. It's kind of stupid of me.
So you mentioned the shoe changes, it sounds like about every 6 hours, and
Well, something like that. Yeah, yeah.
right. Now, what is the shoe choice that you prefer? Like, what are you running?
Well, I had Brooks, I had Hoka, I had Puma, I had
It's a little bit of everything.
I had about, I think about 6 or 7 pairs of shoes. I had Ultra. I had, and I think from those 6, 7 pairs of shoes, there was, I think I had No, no, I've had, yeah, I didn't have, 2 pairs of shoes from the same brand. Uh,
Oh, wow.
um, I started out with, no, it's not correct. I had, the Hoka Clifton and the Hoka Rincon, and I started out with the Hoka Rincon because, my foot swells a bit,
Uh-huh.
and the Hoka Rincon, I always bring it along, but I forget that, it's a rather small shoe. So when I want to wear it after one day, I can't wear it because it's too small. So I
Ah,
wore that shoe for the first, I don't know, 10 hours or 5 hours, or I don't remember. Just because then I know, okay, when I change now, I can have, yeah, yeah.
have a little
So
more room for the foot.
yeah. I will need a little more room. So yeah, so it was a mistake I made about 2 or 3 races in a row that I had that shoe with me. But well, it took me about 2 or 3 races to learn that I had to put that shoe on from the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now you mentioned that whole kind of routine that you went through, but you didn't mention anything about sleep. So when does that come into play?
Um, there's a difference between sleeping and between closing your eyes.
Right.
I started closing my eyes from the first night on. I knew I wasn't tired. I knew I couldn't sleep.
Mhm.
But I just closed my eyes for 2 or 3 minutes, just to give my eyes a rest or my brain a rest, or whatever. And then from the second night, I started to close my eyes, but then I slept a few minutes every time I tried to. But that's sometimes you can sleep for 30 seconds, sometimes you can sleep for 1 minute or 2 minutes. But I think the maximum I slept was maybe 3 minutes or something. Yeah.
That's just ridiculous. I can't imagine that being your longest nap, 3 minutes, and then you're
Well, I
going
think it
for
was about 3 minutes. Yeah, could be four,
wow.
could be two. I don't know, but
Yeah.
yeah,
But still,
because
that's so
also
short.
yeah, but fair. I I had when you have some experience. I did that in 2022. Did that as in 2023. Also in 2024. And at a from a certain point on, you just you come in, you look at your watch, and you say, okay, it's now 20 hours and 53 minutes. Wake me up at 20 hours and 57 minutes.
Wow.
And you communicate that, so your mind knows, okay, he's going to sleep. And then at that time, when you when you speak those words out, I find it easier to get into a
Right.
sleep immediately than just communicating the starting hour and the end hour, and then closing your eyes, and then the problem is when you sleep for a few minutes, 8 times out of the 10, it's a good sleep. So you wake up and you feel it's not like you rested the whole night, of course, but you feel a kind of revived. But
Right.
2 times out of the 10, you wake up and you're
Yeah.
you feel like shit. So
That's where that's where your wife has to kick you in the pants and get you moving.
well, no, not that, maybe not necessarily kick, but but you have to live with that. Yeah, and that attend maybe that are the hard moments. But also the the main thing is, okay, the first time it's very hard when you wake up and you feel like Uh, uh, but it grows on you, and then you say, okay, it wasn't a good sleep, but maybe next time I will sleep better, or will feel better after I sleep. So you kind of learn to live with it.
Okay. Now,
Yeah,
have you always been the type of person that can you sleep anywhere? Like, if you take a
yep,
plane ride, you can
yeah,
sleep?
yeah, yeah. I can sleep
Okay.
anywhere, anytime. Yeah,
See, I
yeah,
wonder that's gotta be an advantage because I know, like, personally, I cannot sleep in a train, a car, a plane, like, I just can't.
uh,
It's
uh,
it the only time I can sleep is if I've been up for probably close to 40 hours, and then I can fall asleep. So
uh,
that's gotta be an advantage to have that ability to just put your head down wherever and just be able to get a
yeah,
couple
yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes that when we go to sleep, my wife says something to me in bed. So we're just in bed. She starts talking, and then I wake up because I'm already asleep. I say, "Ah, let me sleep." But
Right.
even after all these years, she won't believe that I'm already asleep. So yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then, you mentioned food, like some things that you would kind of order at the end of the or the start of the other lap. You'd say, "The next lap, I want this," kind of thing. So what were those things that you were eating during the entirety of this event?
Well,
I'm sure it changed.
first of all, the organization um, takes care takes care of us.
Okay.
I mean, in the morning we get a breakfast, sandwiches, croissants,
Oh,
whatever.
nice.
In the at noon we get, I say, rice and chicken, or mashed potatoes and yeah, and stew. And then in the afternoon we get cake, and then in the evening we get another hot meal, and then at night we get toast or whatever. So 5, 6 times a day there is a meal that is provided by the organization. Uh,
Nice.
um, and of course you have to eat something between those meals, but the amount that you have to eat between those meals is not it's not like you have to eat a lot every lap that you finish, but it's the things. Yeah, sometimes I ask for pancakes because I like pancakes. Sometimes I eat a cereal bar, but it's not the big quantities. It's
Right.
only, yeah, it's more something to get my crew working than than that I really need it. Yeah, sometimes it's also things that I like eating, and that I say, okay, when we reach, I don't know, when we reach lap 30, I would like to drink a Dr. Pepper, for example. That's something special. That's something that I don't drink every day. Or I
Oh,
would
okay.
like, yeah, I don't know, a certain kind of candy that I like very much. So it's a kind of incentive, or kind of, yeah, um, kind of gift for
Like a little
myself.
treat.
A
Yeah.
little treat. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, thank you.
Nice.
Uh, um, but that's not really the intake of calories. Normally, when you eat the food that's provided by the organization, that's it's not enough, but it's about 80% of what you really
Wow.
need. Uh,
Okay. Well, then, with the food, do you try to finish all of your food, like, while you're in your I guess let's your interloopal time, like, before you start the next loop? Or are you taking some of that with you on the next loop and, like, eating as you're
Normally,
walking
I
or
don't
running?
eat. Normally, not. Normally, I eat everything. I'm a very fast eater, also. So I can eat an entire meal in about 30 seconds.
Oh, wow.
May I say 30 seconds? Maybe it's 1 minute or 1 minute and a half. But I can really eat really fast without having any internal problems. Uh,
Well, that's
uh,
good, yeah.
that's good. That's very good. I don't feel the need to take food along with me. Yeah, it's only when, for example, when we had the celebration lap, when we broke the 1,000, when we came at 57, that I had a backpack waiting, where there was some fluids and something to eat.
Oh, okay.
So that's the exception. So normally I take everything in during the
Yeah.
pit stops.
So it sounds like somebody that would excel at the backyard format is someone that can sleep anywhere and would be like a competitive eater. They could just put the food down so quick. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man,
You have
that's
those
wow.
eating contests in America, I think. So maybe you
Yeah,
can, if you can look there for.
right. Somebody that can take a whole hot dog and put it in their mouth in like 20 seconds.
Yeah. That's the kind of guy that you need.
Exactly, there we go, we
Yeah,
gotta go
yeah,
find the next big guy.
yeah.
Well, what about caffeine? Did you have a caffeine strategy or start using
No, I
caffeine?
didn't take any, almost didn't take any caffeine. I didn't even have anything caffeinated with me.
Oh, wow.
At a certain moment, I started to get, I had to, my brain wasn't working 100%. So my wife asked other runners or crew members if they had some caffeine and they had some chewing gum,
Ah,
caffeinated
okay.
chewing gum. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had one or two of those. But I'm not a big believer of caffeine. I know most of the runners take it at a regular basis, but I think it's something that, yeah, it's something that's like sleep and fatigue, something that builds up. And okay, with the caffeine, you can maybe block it, but it doesn't. It just grows and grows. And when the thing that blocks it goes away or doesn't work anymore, you get a full load at
Yeah.
once. So no, I like to do things without the caffeine, but sometimes when it's necessary, it's
Yeah.
necessary. But no, I'm not a big believer of that.
Okay. Well, with the race going so long, I mean, how many hours was it? It was 4
110.
day 110 hours. Okay, yeah, yeah, okay, there we go. So, is there ever a time where your wife, being your crew member, is like, "This race is going way long and we're running out of something." Does she ever have to, like, leave and go get another pair of shoes or something else like that?
No, except for the caffeine. I don't think there was anything that we missed. And also, like I mentioned before, the organization is really, it's they are fabulous people. So when you need anything, or when a runner needs anything, they just ask one of somebody from the organization or a volunteer, and then they go to the night shop or they go to the warehouse, and then they buy the things that
Nice.
the runner needs. So that's really fantastic.
Yeah, that's great to have that support, absolutely.
Yep.
Well
Yep.
well, with the race going 110 hours, you're getting 30 seconds to 3, 4-minute, power naps here and there.
Yep.
Did you start to experience hallucinations where you're talking to trees again or, maybe something else?
No, I wasn't talking to trees again. And the hallucinations. Well, it was the first time we entered night five. uh, that was the first time for us because in America they start at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, interesting.
So when we have lap 100, 101 is about after night four. It is the last lap with in daylight.
Okay.
So we did about 10 laps, no, 9 laps, 8 laps, 10 for about 9 laps we did during night five. Uh, um, but the hallucination started from night three. But for, yeah, it's not the first time I had hallucinations, and it's kind of it's kind of animation on and when we're running. even with Frank, we shared all our hallucinations at night 4. He said, "I see that," and I said, "No, no, it's that." Okay, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it's a dinosaur. I thought it was a brontosaur. Eh, so, yeah, 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 and also at a certain well, when you have experience with hallucinations, you can, for example, when when there were lots of leaves because it's autumn here in Belgium. There were lots of leaves on the ground, and when I say okay, in the leaves, I want to see all kinds of dragons. You see all kinds of dragons in the leaves. When I say okay, I want to see teapots. You see all kinds of different teapots. So you can
Wow.
manipulate the hallucinations that you want to see. um, I'm going to give one more example. Then, when Marijn and Frank were running in front of me, and there was a big tree that was hanging a little bit further, a big tree, and I was seeing in the big tree, I was seeing a monster, and it was windy, so the leaves of the branch were going up and down.
Wow.
It was like a giant beak that was trying to pick in the heads of Frank and of Marijn. Yeah,
Oh,
and I said,
wow.
"Ooh, that's nice." Yeah, and then I followed them, and then I said, "Oh, for me, it's not necessary." And it was a giant bird that I saw. The giant bird disappeared immediately, and there was a tree.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so it was yeah, it's animation. It's yeah, it's something fun.
Wow. Now, you mentioned it was windy, during that hallucination. What was the rest of the weather like for the majority of the event? Did you have rain or was it
We had, I think night 3 was rain, but well, real rain.
Yeah.
I had to turn my headlamp on the maximum because I didn't see anything because the rain was like a shower curtain.
Oh, wow.
It was really yeah, because then the start of day 4, the first hours we couldn't go on the day loop because it was flooded.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
so we had to wait for maybe 3, 4, 5 hours until the ground there is very sandy. So the water goes into the ground very quick.
Yeah.
It was flooded at in the morning, but after 3, 4 hours, because the rain goes very quick into the ground, we could go onto the day course again.
Wow.
But it was that kind of weather that was really it well. I found it to be I found it amusing. Because when you're running with a good raincoat, had waterproof trousers, so I was protected from the elements. And then you're in your little cocoon with your headlight,
Right.
and the rain comes falling like crazy all around you. So for me, that was I found that very pleasant. I think I trained for 2 or 3 hours, but yeah, it was something that I said, okay, that's something I'm going to remember for a long time. So yeah, have to enjoy it now.
Right.
And then for the other, there was some wind during a few days, but it was not storm or anything. So everything for an October in Belgium, it was okay. It
Okay,
could
well,
be
good.
worse. Yeah, could be
Yeah.
worse. Yeah.
Well, so you did 110 loops, 458, I think it was what, 0.36, 458.36 miles.
If you say
And
so.
yeah, at least that's what they're reporting.
Yeah.
You came in again on that last lap and decided to not go out again with, you said with Frank, with Marin and yourself,
Yeah.
all your teammates essentially in this race. Was there a discussion amongst crew again, or what, or did you 3 just kinda say,
Oh
"Hey, we're
no,
gonna just"
well, one of us three had the idea to stop together, and I think yeah, the other two had more of a real competition in mind. But okay, to be honest, well, I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, it was enough. So when somebody suggested that we could stop together, I kind of jumped at the idea, and I said, "Yeah, yeah, very good." Uh, um, and we didn't decide immediately. I think the question came up at maybe loop 105 or something,
Oh,
or
wow.
well, I think it was something like that. And the other two thought about it for some laps. I talked it over with my wife, and well, we decided it was well. In fact, it was a team event. We all supported each other. Yeah, I think without, for example, without Moraine, I wouldn't be there at lap 110. So, yeah, who am I then to say that I wanted to have a competition at the end? Our 15 runners lasted, I think, yeah, I think 50 or 51 laps was when the first runner fell out. And by then there were lots of countries that were finished altogether.
Right.
So, and also well, the fact that we all worked together, we all supported each other. Yeah, it kind of is it's more difficult at the end of the race to turn the switch and to say, okay, you're no longer teammates. uh, uh, yeah, your competition. Yeah.
Right.
It was kind of hard to do that. And maybe, okay, to be honest, maybe I took the soft way out, but yeah, it was mentally, it was very hard. It was like when you play in a team together for let's say 100 100 and something yards, and then at yeah at that after 100 and something hours you have to play against them, and instead of playing with them, it in my mind it didn't compute. So yeah, when the question came, do you want to stop together at a certain point? I was very quickly well. It didn't take too long to say yes.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
imagine after that kinda time on your feet and awake. Yeah,
Yeah.
a welcome opportunity to stop, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe yeah.
you broke the record, so,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, of
set it
course, and that's also and we had certain goals, and all those goals, they were all the boxes were ticked. And we want to be the first country that reaches the 1,000. And then somebody else said, okay, it would be nice if we were the only country that would reach the 1,000. Okay, America fell for group.
Yep.
So we were sure we would be the only country that would be the 1,000. Then we have the world record. Okay, check. We have three people going for the world record. Check. So everything, yeah, yeah. I think I don't know how far the Australia went. It was in the 90s or something, I think.
Yeah.
So we were already running 10 hours or something, or even more solo as a country. And that was also one of the boxes that was ticked. So everything that we could dream for, or we had a list, the ideal list, and those all those things on those best case scenario list were all tick 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 tick. So, and yeah, once in your mind, when your goals are reached, it's yeah, it's yeah,
Yeah. Kind of hard to keep going once those goals are all met. It's like you
yeah,
did
yeah,
everything you set
yeah.
out to do. Absolutely.
That's the short version. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, it took so long to explain.
Right. Well, so this has been what, a couple of weeks ago now. So
2 weeks. Yeah.
how has your recovery gone since this?
Um, the legs are okay, um, but I don't know how exactly. But I hurt my ribs during the race. I think it was because of maybe something I hit, or maybe I carried a backpack for a few hours. Maybe that was rubbing against something that was not okay. Yeah, and because of the painful ribs, I don't feel I can sleep for 1 2 hours, and then I wake up because I'm
Oh,
lying. My
wow.
my normal sleeping position is on the side of the painful rib.
Oh,
Yeah, I turn the other way when I want to sleep, but in my sleep I turn it on my normal sleeping position. Then I wake up, and then I turn again, and I after a few hours, to 1 2 hours, I wake up, and then I turn again, and so on.
oh
So
no.
that slows the recovery progress a little bit.
Absolutely.
But I went for a run or two or three even maybe already.
Oh, wow.
I went for a bike ride today with some friends.
Nice.
Think we did about 50 miles at a very decent average pace. So
Yeah.
I can't complain. I think it's one of the backyards that I recover the quickest,
Wow.
even with the sleeping problems because
Yeah.
of the pain.
Now, how were your feet after this? Were they fine? Any
I
issues? Any
think
blisters?
I had three blisters. I think
Oh, wow, that's it.
they were popped somewhere during day 4. Um, I had one toenail that came out of its place, and
Oh.
I just pushed it back. So, um, but my feet were yeah, except for the three blisters that were even minor blisters. It wasn't really anything
Wow.
worthwhile mentioning. My feet were not even all that swollen.
Wow.
No, the feet were fine. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, feet were
That's
fine.
impressive. That's
Yeah.
impressive. That long on your feet and have that minimal issues for your feet. That's
Yeah, yeah, it's
wow.
really, yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
must have an excellent foot care routine. Do you do anything to prep your feet, or are your feet just conditioned to that?
I think it's some prepping, but not too much. But I think most of it's the getting used to the time on feet
Right.
from previous ultras and
Right.
previous backyards.
Wow.
At I take care of my feet about 1 week before the event. Um, yeah, I just some ointments, or how do you call it, to keep them soft and to peel
Oh,
away
yeah. Mhm.
the hard parts. Uh, um, but further than that, it's nothing really special.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, after setting a world record, just absolutely inspiring people with this insane performance. What's next for you, Evo? Do you have something else on the horizon, or is it going to be another backyard ultra?
Well, um, normally I have. Normally, I have everything planned out, but after this backyard, I decided the because in 2024 my program was a bit too much. At a certain point, I think I had an ultra in January, had an ultra in February, had an ultra in March, had an ultra in May, had an
Wow.
ultra in June. So
Yeah.
and in August, I did 650K. So and after during the backyard, I promised myself that I would think about what I wanted to do in 2025. Because normally in December now there's a 100 miler that I do every year for the last 7 years. So it will be the first edition that I won't be there, I think, but
Oh,
I have to
wow.
decide. But I promised myself to question every event that I normally do if I really want to do it again, because
Yeah.
I have the bad habit when I do an ultra 1 year that I do it every year. Sometimes I get an invite there and an invite there, and I do this, but I do this every year, and then you come to a certain point that you have an ultra almost every month. But it's way too much, of course, because there's no room for training. There's
Right.
just room for a race, recovery, doing nothing, a race,
Right.
recovery. So training is maybe, I don't know, 20 or 30 miles a week. So so that's something that I promised myself, if I get the world record again, then I would would slow down in 2025. I will do more ultras, but I will have a
Yeah.
I will think twice before I say yes. Yeah,
Right. Well, with that in mind, will we see you at the Bigs individual
of
championship
course,
in 25?
of course.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm already
Good.
planning that. Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. I'm already thinking about what went not so good and how to better it.
Right.
So I will also thinking about the 2023 race in Bigs. So I know, I know what to do, and I know what training I have to plan and what I have to do to be there and to do better than the 80 that I did
Right.
before. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like with the amount of people that have gone 90 plus now and into the hundreds, it's going to be a very competitive field, I would imagine, and a very fun to
Yeah.
watch.
But it's
From
okay. I'm gonna win anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
Exactly. Exactly. You're gonna win it. There you go. That's the
Yeah. No
mindset. You
problem.
gotta have it. Yeah. Well, Ivo, I have really enjoyed this conversation, getting to hear
Thank you.
all
Likewise.
about this. It's been fun chatting with you, and again, just amazing performance. Congratulations, and
Thank you.
keep on inspiring. And we look forward to seeing what happens in 2025 at the Bigs, and
Hmm.
maybe at some point our paths will cross at an ultra where you'll blow me out of the water with by 300 miles. We'll
Yeah.
see. So
Yeah.
it is great chatting with you, Eva. I really appreciate you coming on. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode of The Adventure Jogger, please consider joining our Patreon and be sure to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok for more content like this. Without your continued support, we would not be able to produce this type of content. So thank you so much to everyone that has listened, followed along, subscribed, liked, commented, you name it, donated on Patreon. Thank you.